to get it, just get it. Ain't just on me, it's in me. I speak the truth, I'm a realist. I ain't just dedicated, I'm committed. Pull up white polo T-palm, ain't just sweat, VVS baguette. They know I was next. Locked down 23 hours, 1 hour wreck. Look at me now, everything.
I would really prefer y'all start with a 2.5 pound weight. When you're working with your rotator cuff, it's never good to use heavy weight. The rotator cuff consists of some very tiny, fragile muscles. And that's why football players, construction workers, mail carriers, basketball players, everybody hurts their shoulders, I promise you, at some point in time, because everything we do works the large muscle groups, posterior delts, lateral head, rear delts. So like when we pressing, you're not working the rotator cuff. You're getting a lot of that front delt, side head, a little bit of the back. When you're doing side laterals, you just hitting that side head. The rotator cuff is not getting worked. I can never talk about the rotator cuff without using an analogy of putting a powerful motor in the car without changing the rear end. You're gonna blow that rear end every time. Same thing with shoulders. I've been a personal trainer for now over 30 years. Man, time flies. And in my 30-year experience, the lower back was common, the most injured part in the gym. The shoulders are the most injured part in sports and working out. You hear about the pulled hamstrings, the torn, ACL, MCL, those are a little bit more serious. But the shoulder injuries, so many people don't even know why their shoulders are bothering them, because you're not strengthening the rotator cuff and you're also not getting that mobility that you need from doing proper stretching. But we're gonna jump into it. Summertime right around the corner. Guns out, buns out, boulder shoulders in effect, all that. We came here to wreck. So we're gonna start with the basics. Overhead military press. This right here is a staple in shoulder building. And don't worry, I'm gonna show certain people that have back problems. I've got a client that can't do military press, bench press, squat, deadlift. So I'm gonna show you people that may have issues with the back, how you can also build shoulders without doing overhead military press. But this right here is a big dog of shoulder workouts. Boom. See that? A simple military press. This one right here, there may be a proper name for this one. I've only seen Rich Gaspari, one of my favorite bodybuilders back in the day, do this. So I call it the Gaspari press. When you go from here, here, and here. Doing this right here, it's almost like a clean and jerk without doing the full range of motion. This right here, people, just doing this makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference on how much intensity that add from just adding that one little movement. And just from doing that, you're gonna get some rotator cuff You're gonna get that front head, lateral head, and rear head as well. And all that is very good for developing shoulders. I'm not gonna load the bar today because everyone's gonna load the bar with different weights. The weights are not as important as the reps and range of motion. If you're trying to build some shoulders that look good, you want to, pop your collars this summer, rock the tank top. If you want to peel and go shirtless and you really want them delts to pop, don't believe that lifting real heavy 3 to 5 reps. You might get a little gains, you'll get stronger. If you start off lifting too heavy, you're going to get injured. But to create hypertrophy, I can never say that damn word. But anyway, to really get those muscles to break down and to grow, you need sets of between 8 to 12 reps. And I'm going to say about 10 to 12 works for me. So if the weight is too heavy for you to get at least 10 to 12 reps, you probably not going to get that aesthetic look, that shape and beauty, as we call it in the bodybuilding game. And if you want power, there's things you can do just for power. My man, Uncle Leroy Jr., King I, he one of those people that like to work out, but he don't want to get real big and bulky. So this is a good shoulder workout that will give you strength. I'm sorry, not a workout, but one exercise is very good for that, I feel. Not only is this good for functionality, for all sports, definitely boxing, and if you ever have to, get somebody up off of you, this is called a landmine press. Normally, I would put this in a corner. You can put it in any corner in your house, garage, gym, and you really don't need an attachment. But I'm just gonna set it up against my weight stack here. A landmine press. You're on your knees here, boom, you're pressing. One thing you don't wanna do is reach way up. I see a lot of beginners, my shoulders are down, my traps are not up. Keep the shoulder down. Just extend the arm, drop slow. This landmine press right here will be great for giving you that strength and development without getting you too big, because you're doing one hand and you shouldn't be lifting a whole lot of weight with one hand. And you can do this if for the people that want to build big shoulders, after you've done the military press, after you've done some other exercises, you can definitely finish with this as a burnout. And of course, you can add weight on it as you go. So the landmine press is not only good for people that are not really trying to become mass muscles, but still want to, have some functionality and have some definition. That's very good. People that have back issues. It's common practice when you're doing the military press. When it gets hard, people tend to bend back like that. So the pressure's going from here to here. So you want to try not to bend back like that, but it's going to happen some. And if you have back issues, even if you're keeping your stomach in, chest out, and back straight, there's still, most of the pressure is still going right on your spine. So if you got back issues, you may want to consider doing the landmine press. The other one, which is good for people that have back issues, or again, you want to have some muscles, but you're not trying to look like a bodybuilder. Doing lighter weights and Arnold press. Boom, right here. Start like you're just finishing a curl, come up and press over your head. Like my man Self does the crump dancing. So by him being a dancer, like he might not be mind being cut, lean, and all of that, but he's not gonna want to get real bulky and real massive with a lot of the stuff that comes with crump. You're not gonna be able to move as good. So if you're a dancer, track athlete, boxer, as you notice, any boxing coach is going to frown upon a boxer putting on a whole lot of muscle. They don't want a boxer working out like a bodybuilder or power lifter. I would say the same thing for dancers, no matter what kind of dance you're doing. If you really want to dance and move, of course, that's a part of dance. Showing a six-pack, being flexible, having a little definition. That's aesthetically pleasing, and it's more conducive to you being able to dance and do all that stuff. Because dancing, a lot of dancing, I'm not talking about just, holding up the wall and rocking back and forth. When you dance, that takes strength, stamina, endurance, coordination. So the better shape you're in, the better you're going to do in pretty much all of life. So that's another time that you would want to do Arnold press instead of heavy military press if you were not trying to build too much muscle. Some women shy away from wanting to get too bulky. So that's another thing. Light auto press will be really good. But for the men that want the boulder shoulders, military press primarily, and then you can do auto press with a pyramid. Start with 50-pound dumbbells for 10. Drop down to 40-pound dumbbells for 12. 30-pound dumbbells for 15. 20-pound dumbbells for 20 reps. When you're working like that, you're gonna build those muscles, no doubt. I want to give that word a try again, but muscle hypertrophy, I can never, that word is always eluding me. Speak Spanish and everything, but that English word, hypertrophy, as some say, the only way to achieve that is through high reps. You got to tear it down to build it up. If you're lifting super heavy, you're not doing enough reps to create the microscopic tears in the muscle. You'll get stronger, but you're not going to really get that development. So the dumbbell lateral raises, boom, these right here. I see so many people doing these wrong. I see so many trainers allowing their people to do them wrong. Even though there are different variations to the movements, a lateral raise means to move laterally. This is not lateral, people. It's almost lateral, but you're almost doing a front raise. Laterally, take those arms straight, put a slight bend to them elbows, come up. Your hands should not be higher than the elbows. Your elbows should be higher than the hands or even. Like Coach Horton, may he rest in peace, used to teach us, pouring out the water buckets, turning the hands over to make sure the elbow's up. A certain way you move your body will determine on how you target and engage the muscle. Because there's certain things you can do where you're barely engaging the muscle at all if you're doing that. While you even bending your elbows and locking them like that, you're putting the pressure, you're taking the tension off the joints and keeping them on the muscle. When you're doing your lateral raises, again, you want to do about sets of 10 to 12, maybe even 15. If you're really trying to, you got a music video coming up and you want them shoulders to pop a little bit in that video. You finna go to Cancun, you finna go on a cruise, class reunion, or just want to look and feel good, 12 to 15 reps, 10 to 15, because everybody's body's different. But if you're doing at least 10 reps, you tearing it down. The forgotten muscle on the shoulder is the rear delts. Even though I started off with the lateral raises, after military press, a lot of people are going straight to dumbbell laterals or starting with them. Because if you have a muscle that you want to bring up, it could be your legs, your calves, and the rear delts on most people. On the bodybuilding contest, the judges call it the forgotten muscle. People don't see it, they forget to work it, they turn around and get blew out by someone who paid attention to the details. The dumbbell bent over lateral raises, right here, boom, showing y'all different angles. If y'all notice, my hands are at the back of the dumbbells. I actually got this one from Matt Lear about 7 years ago at Metroflex Gym. He played for the Cowboys. I think he even played for them Funky Saints for a minute, Matt Lear. He was a big old heavy old lineman, man. You wouldn't recognize him now. Dude is already like 6'8", 6'9", but he was a big old lineman. Now he lean cut, got an 8-pack. Just, it looks completely different from his NFL days. But what I've always done is have my hands just like this, doing rear delts. I'm gonna give y'all an example with the dumbbells from a couple angles. And this works, but when Matt showed me to turn my hands and keep them elbows up, game changer. This is the traditional, the old school way of doing bent over laterals for rear delts. And so you just right here coming up. When I say old school, many people still do it. I did it for years with results. You just right here and pulling them up. The elbows are still going up. Once you turn those hands in like this, stomach in, chest out, and lead with those elbows, it isolates and target that rear head back there. So once Matt, appreciate you, Matt, for showing me that. Game changer, like I said. Another thing I love about fitness, 51 years young, been certified for about 30 years, if not more. And when I tell you I am still learning stuff about fitness, I'm still discovering stuff. Fitness is one of those things that is just constantly evolving. There's things that we thought was real good in the 80s, and they were. In the 90s, we found a better way to do it. Then, fast forward to them deuces, the 2000s, then we really found better ways to do stuff. So that's the great thing about working out is people. You can research and learn, and believe me, just because you learned one way to do something, please remember that's not the only way. I often hear beginners debating about, no, that's not how you do it. You do this and that. If you have an effective routine, honestly, you're doing a variation of different movements, to be honest. But there's certain things that should remain unchanged. The foundation, the fundamentals, the basics, the meat and potatoes. The squat, deadlift, bench press, military press, those staples should not change. You should always be squatting with your knees behind your toes, not like you're gonna pray. You should never squat, deadlift, or do anything with your back hunched over. It's always gotta be stomach in, chest out. A deadlift, either conventional or sumo. And you got straight leg deadlifts. You can come with, one leg deadlift and this and that, but I'm talking about the basics. You should still squat the same. You should still bench, deadlift. The foundation stays the same. Now, when it comes to the shape and beauty movements, man, you can stand with the gym cable. That's what I did on one of my videos, check it out on IG. And you can lean and you can do the rear delts actually coming between the legs, but you got a mean lean going on. You're leaning this way, I'm sorry, and got the cable coming, and it just hits the head from a different angle. So the rear delts, we talked about that. I want to really make sure that y'all understand. When you coming up, the elbows, they go straight up to the ceiling, not back. So many people go back with the elbows. When you keep them up like this, you isolate that head and you work it so much better. Remember, people, no flexion of the joint. You're not doing this. Once you lock them joints, they do not move. Act like you got a cast on and keep it just like that. Then you're targeting the muscle, taking the pressure off the joint. Front raises. When you're doing military press, you're going to get some of that front head. If you do landmine press, you're going to get some. But if you want to isolate the front shoulders, right here, just grab a plate, boom. This is the correct way. Coming up, the bottom of the plate is about to my eyebrow. When you coming way up like this, you're resting. You don't start back working until you're right here. So you want to keep this right about here, people. See this? The bottom of the plate is just right above my brows, or maybe not even that high, honestly. If you had dumbbells, you would stop about right here. I like to do mine right here. Many fitness professionals actually stop right there. Definitely don't come up here with them. Now, there will be certain variations, and I think it's more of a preference. There's certain people that are going to naturally do certain things a little different. Some people do that because of compensation for injuries. Some people just have to do it that way. And sometimes it's just a preference, people. So if you do your whatever a little bit different, like I say, to me, as long as you're not manipulating the basics, you're not doing nothing wrong. Because everybody's body's different. And I've got clients like me over 50, they can't do certain things the way they used to. So we got to improvise, adapt, and overcome, and we got to modify it. So that's why it's kind of good to get with a trainer, a professional. Ain't nothing wrong with using YouTube, but if you go on YouTube, log on to STWF Studios, Slaughta FiT, and get this real-ish. So the front delts, we talked about that. Another way you can hit front delts is with dumbbells. People, you're going to find out, for whatever reason, with dumbbells, when you do one at a time, you're going to be able to get a lot more. As soon as you do two at a time, you're adding intensity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, resistance training is training you to overcome resistance. So you want the path of most resistance. But once you've done both, boom, and you're fatigued, and if you want some more, go one at a time. You'll be able to get a lot more rep squats out when you do one at a time. And that's the same thing for curling. If I curl both of these dumbbells at the same time, I can do 25, 30 reps. If I do one at a time, I can do like 60 on each. So that's just a little tip. When you want more volume and you burn out, do it the hard way first. Go as hard as you can, then get those little extra bonuses in, one at a time. Again, the side heads, very easy. Boom. See this? Coming from the sides. Most of my weightlifting career, me, all the bodybuilders, they came from the front like that. If you're coming from the front like this, there's nothing wrong with that. This right here, I would reserve that for heavier weight because you're not gonna be able to get no heavy weights, 45, 50-pound dumbbells, hold them on the side of your legs and come up. That's just, your body was not meant to lift very heavy laterally. It just wasn't. Your body was not meant to lift like that. Again, we were meant to push and pull. That's where a lot of injuries come from. People getting overzealous, gung-ho, and trying to go real heavy with the laterals. Seen so many people get hurt trying to go real heavy with the front raises. Save the heavy stuff for the compound movements, the military press, bench, squat, deadlift. Anything going away from your body, if you're going heavy, that's a recipe for disaster. The traps and rear delts. Let me show y'all the upright row. Ladies, I would prefer y'all use dumbbells if you don't want to build big traps. Traps are the neck muscles that pop out over from behind the shoulders, if you would. So guys, if you trying to be a beast, you can do both. You can do these, boom, wide upright rows, which is gonna hit the rear delts, or close, which is gonna hit the rear delts and the traps. So ladies, again, and some guys don't want to look, walk around looking like a big running back or whatever. Because I know Barry Foster, his traps came from the back of his ears all the way down, looked like he was flexing all the time. But that's important for boxers and people that's going to take hits. Those traps keep that head from snapping back. So upright rows, remember, close grip, you're mostly hitting your traps, your trapezoids. If you're trying to hit the rear delt, go with a wider grip. Fellas, I would say do a combination of both. One set wide, one set close, one set wide. Also dumbbells. You have heavier dumbbells than this, or you can even do this, especially if you're not trying to be a mass monster. Shrug, straight up. 1, 2, drop slow. 1, 2, drop slow. Just 1.5 seconds, just long enough to say Slaughta FiT, STWF. Just, 1.5 seconds, you can say whatever. Bad MF, sexy for the summer. Sometimes I have my clients say something so they're not just 1, 2. And I believe in also mind-body connection, staying connected to your mission, verbally speaking out loud what you're working for. And out loud don't have to be for other people to hear. You can talk to yourself, keep yourself going. So we went over the military press. That's the main ingredients for hitting all 3 heads, meat and potatoes. And that's gonna give you more power and build the shoulders more. Lateral raises, hit the side head only. And for people that just like, why would I do a variation of them? Because military press does hit the front, side, and back, but it doesn't hit it thoroughly. So once you've hit them all, you want to come back, it's like washing the car. You sprayed the rims, but if you see grime and brake dust in between them, you sprayed the whole car. But now you got to go back and isolate and get in between those rims specifically to make them shine. Same thing for shoulders. When you do military press, you kind of hit all 3 heads, but then you come back and isolate them and work them thoroughly. The front, the side, the rears. You should always do 2 or 3 more sets on your rear delts. In everyday life, we use our front delt. Secondarily, we use our lateral head because most people ain't picking up groceries like this. But almost anything you do, bench press, push-ups, just throughout everyday life, brushing your teeth, you use that front head a lot. The rear head gets neglected. So always do extra sets on your rear delts. You should do like 4 sets on the side laterals, 4 sets on the front laterals, 6 sets on the back. People, if you're right-handed, trust me, I see this all the time. I've measured over 1,000 people. If you are right-handed, you must do a little extra on your left with everything you do. if you really look, if there's no woman whose breast is the exact same size, there's no person whose biceps are the exact same size, quad, calf. Right-handed people are gonna have a little bit more muscular development on the right side. Left-handed people are gonna have a little bit more muscular development, strength, and coordination on the left side. For balanced people, trust me, sometimes you won't notice until you get on the stage or until a judge critique you. I had to learn that. I had no idea how much more my right side was developed than my left. If you're left or right-handed, do extra work with your less dominant hand. Trust me, because how many times, I can do 20 with the right, I can only do 8 with the left. You never want to be that imbalance. The right hand can be stronger, but you shouldn't be able to lift a 100-pound dumbbell here and only to lift 30 here. So to seek balance, people, do extra sets with your less dominant hand. I am Slaughta. Thank y'all for tuning in to Slaughta FiT. Happy Slaughta Water Wednesday, and we out. Boulder shoulders, baby.